I literally had to block the keyword Epstein from showing up on my For You page because I'm so done with it. Is fucking up my psyche. And I've already like been down this rabbit hole. Like I've known about this because I'm a conspiracy theorist, but I just like I can't. And the only thing that can get at least me through this is knowing that it is a spiritual war. So please allow me to tell you my spiritual convictions, which probably no one will completely agree with. Like people on both sides will just think I'm insane, but it's what I've come to know as the truth. And at the end of the day, let's all just love each other, okay? So I was raised Christian, right? And from 7 years old, I had a stepdad who was like very old school Christian, like he would get angry at my mom for working on the Sabbath. He thought that that was gonna make her go to hell. He was one of those people who thought that you could just like completely sin, and as long as you ask Jesus to forgive you, you're cool. But you could be a really good person, and if you forget to ask Jesus to forgive you, then you're screwed. You could be an actual saint, but you've never had the privilege of learning about Jesus. Well, I guess you're going to hell. I grew up around that, but luckily my mom would always be in my ear like, nah, like God is chill, God is love. But around 2012, as a teenager, entering my rock bottom, smoking spice, okay, I became atheist for about a week. I started having all these deep thoughts, and I was like, I don't know what I believe in. Like, I don't think that makes sense for there to even be like a creator or anything, right? Well, the atheism only lasted for about a week because I was bombarded with downloads, okay? And like I astral projected, like, okay. So I started having experiences. And now I believed in like the universe, right? So in 2019, I meet my soulmate, okay? Our first date, we just started talking about everything that we believed. And it was like we each had half of the whole picture. When he told me he was Christian, I was like, oh, okay. I mean, like, cool, but things that I had learned along the way, I like he would be like, oh yeah, like Jesus talks about that. Okay, like for example, I had like an oracle book. It's like a Chinese, like it's called the I Ching, right? You toss some coins, you come up with like this hexagram, you find it in the book, it tells you what you need to know. And it's all very nice spiritual things. And the main thing that it tells you is to be innocent. What that means is to like go with the flow, you know, like the idea of if you are stuck in traffic, instead of being like, damn it, like be like, you know what, there's probably a reason that I'm stuck in traffic. When I met my soulmate, I told him about the idea of being innocent. And he was like, yes, I have experienced that too and learned of that. And it's called Christ conscience, okay? It's the idea of like living like Christ. And I was like, okay, maybe this Christ guy isn't so bad. But like, then I actually started to read the Bible. At first I was like, I'm gonna read from like cover to cover, right? So I was like stuck in the First Testament. Oh, that shit is scary. And I was seeing where a lot of these ideas that my stepdad had growing up. And when I went to that religious boot camp where they would be like, fear God. God is spiteful and angry. Like, what? So I start reading the New Testament. Oh, Jesus is like awesome. But that God in the Old Testament, all right, this is where I'm going to lose some people. That is not God. I'm sorry, but that guy that's walking the earth and being like, sacrifice a child to me. Just kidding. But build me a house. That's not God, bro. That's not God. I'm sorry to say it. So then get this. So then Jesus comes here and Jesus keeps saying, like, he's like, bro, nobody can get to the Father, God, except through me. Like, I'm the only one that has spoken directly to God, okay? So then who were those guys talking to in the Old Testament? Because when God is speaking down to them from a cloud, it sounds like he's probably has a UFO, a spaceship, and he's like, yo, build me a table and some chairs so I can come down there and live among you. What? And all this time that Jesus is talking about the evil one and Satan and the devil, who is he talking about? The snake from the Garden of Eden? No, he's talking about the guy, okay, it might have been multiple dudes, okay, that came here. They might have even created humanity genetically, okay, like on some Epstein shit. And he's over here, like, unaliving people and then being like, shit, I'm sorry, bro. That was too far. I'll never do that again. Like, what? Because I felt God. Anybody can. I'm not special at all. That dude, That's not God, bro. That's not him. But Jesus is the real deal, though. Because listen, Jesus did not come here to be like, yo, worship me. That's that Old Testament God, okay? If you actually read the Bible, which, like, I don't say that in, like, a shitty way. Like, I literally, like, I had all these opinions from shit that I was raised by, but it took me until recently to actually pick up the Bible and start reading it. And it's like, dude, everybody is misconstruing this so bad. Like, Jesus literally says he's not God. Like, he gives so much honor to God. Like, he's, like, next step in charge, okay? Like, he's, like, he says that he's been there since the beginning of time, okay? But he says himself that he is not God. He's always, like, giving praise to God and being like, all these powers are through me. And I believe that he came here. He's an alchemist. He came here to tell us that we can do the same things that he did, okay? Manifestation. He would go around, there'd be thousands of people, right? And they'd all be like, we need food. So, and then someone would be like, all we have is this one loaf of bread, bro. There was like 1,000 people in this crowd. And Jesus would be like, nah, dog, I got it. Just start slicing it up and giving it to people. At the end, everyone would have a basket of bread from that one loaf. And Jesus would be like, so, is everyone fed from that one loaf? Yeah. Okay? Manifestation, alchemy, like literally like transmutation. And that's what faith is, okay? That's what faith is. Faith is like believing that you can do something, that God can do something. That's why, like, Jesus was walking on water, okay? And then some dude was walking with him, and he was like, oh, damn, I'm walking on water. And he stopped believing, and he fell into the water because he stopped believing, dude. It's the faith, but like, that's what it is. It's manifesting, okay? And listen, okay, Jesus was so punk rock, all right? So Jesus would come and he would like walk straight up to women. Okay, like in towns where like you could not just go up and talk to a woman that you're not related to or married to. Like women are not supposed to just be like being addressed like a human being. And Jesus would walk right up to them and be like, yo, can you give me directions to this town or whatever, okay? And everyone would be like, bro. And he'd be like, what, dude? Like, he was so, like, for the women and for the children, okay? And okay, when I tell you he didn't come here to be worshipped, he came here to be, like, self-sacrificial to show us how we should treat others, okay? And that is, like, his whole shtick. But the church, like, barely, like, at least, like, growing up, I didn't know it was like that. Like, the whole thing with Jesus cleaning people's feet, he is getting on his knees and like, bringing himself lower down to serve you. And you're just like a random person, a sinner, like, and he's on his knees cleaning your feet. Yeah, because the whole point is to be self-sacrificial. Jesus literally came here to show us the correct way to live after we had been not only spiritually neglected as humanity, but also like thrown completely off track by a false god. So I used to always think like the WWJD thing was like a cliche. Like, what would Jesus do? But I ask myself that all the time now. And I think that's like the whole point. He came here to show us like the ultimate example so that even when you are like feeling bad for yourself and you're like, oh, but this person wronged me. I have the right to like be angry at them or whatever. It's like, yeah, but he was literally hung on a cross and was still like not even holding a grudge against them. And then we're supposed to believe that the God, the Father that Jesus submits to is the dude from the Old Testament who literally says that he is jealous and requires sacrifices, bro. Requires sacrifices, bro, because he likes the aroma of the burnt offerings, bro. What? Okay. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments. And I have an experience with Jesus from before I really even believed in Jesus. So if you want to hear that, let me know. I know this isn't my normal content. Please don't think I'm crazy. Or if you do, whatever. But I don't know.